Hey friends, how are you guys doing today? I hope you're doing so well and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rebecca if you're new here, and I make a lot of videos around thrifting, around reselling items that I do thrift, giving you guys some insight into brands that are really good to resell online for a profit. And so today I thought we would take a little look back as we're heading into January. We're heading into a new year. 2024 is right around the corner. I thought it'd be really helpful, not just for me, but for you guys too, to take a look back at 2023 and to kind of break down some trends that I saw in my sales, some brands that I think are real BOLOs that have sold well for me. I've only put down things that have sold for over $100. So we have quite a few amazing brands that I'm going to just briefly talk about. I'll show you guys the tag, of course, so that way you know what these things look like. And then we're also going to break down my top 10 sales from 2023. And I'm going to give you guys some insight and some lessons I've learned from those pieces that I have sold. So I think it's going to be a great video. I think it's going to be really insightful if you are a part-time, a full-time, a reseller in general. If you just like to thrift and then sometimes you happen to find a really good piece, then this is the video for you. This should help you guys out with some brands, but also just kind of learning some lessons too about reselling along the way. So if that sounds good to you guys, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you guys can stick around. And let's jump into my sales and also these brands that should do really well for you guys as well. I'm going to take you guys through those 10 things that have sold for a really good amount of money. I think everything on here sold for at least $150. So great sale prices, and these are going to be the big kickers. And then I'm going to also show you guys those brands of things that sold for over $100 for me this year. So my number 10 sale was a pair of Tags Doc Martens. They were the Jaden boot. So they were a smooth leather platform boot. And these I found at a Ross store. So there's going to be a little bit of a trend here. The majority of my thrifting, the majority of my business focuses on thrifting things from Goodwill and Goodwill Outlet. So I buy a lot of items for right around $2 cost of goods, but a lot of these things that are going to be in my top 10 sales are going to be things that I paid a little bit more for from a buy-sell trade store. Some of it is retail arbitrage. I do have one item in here that I picked up in the bins, so I paid about $1 for, but the majority of things I actually had to pay a little bit more for. Like this pair of Doc Martens. I picked these up at a Ross, and I believe that I only paid like $20 for these. They sold, I believe, in a few days, like maybe 3 days, on Poshmark for $140. So from $140, we make $110. And Doc Martens are a really good seller for me. I do think that most people know this brand, but there are some newer styles from this that will do better. This is also one of those brands that I often see at Plato's Closets and things like that. So if you're spending out of pocket like $60 to make $140, that may or may not be worth it to you. But a helpful tip for this sort of a thing where you're buying something from a buy-sell trade store, which you'll see throughout my list, is if you can have some pieces that you can trade into a buy-sell trade store, if you sell to them. I like to pick up items in the bins where things are about $1 a piece. My local buy-sell trade store will pay you about $4 or $5 for those items. So on the whole, if I take in 20 items to sell and I get $100 of in-store cash, I spent $20 to get $100. That $100 can buy me much better items at the buy-sell trade store, and then I can, exponentially increase my money. So there's different ways to kind of hack the system if you don't want to spend a lot of money at buy-sell trade stores, but you want to get some good items there. So that's a good tip. Number 9, this sale was something from the bins. So this was a new to me brand, and since I picked up this pair of jeans, I have found the same brand twice. Both times they sold for over $100. So this is a pair of vintage Jenko jeans. They're a Y2K vintage cargo utility pant. Found them in the local bins here in Indianapolis area, and they sold for $150. I made $120 on these, and they sold within an hour of me listing them, and I had multiple offers on these. So this is a brand that was probably really popular during the 2000s, maybe the 90s, and it's just something that's come back, but it's harder to find. So if you find the Jenko jeans, I sold a pair of Jenko shorts, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. That also sold for, I think, $99, $100. So this was a pair of jeans that sold for $150. I listed at $200. It's a really good brand to know. And so sometimes style-based pickups too are really important, but also this Jenko brand, JNCO, will do really well for you. Now, number 8 is a Dooney & Burke purse. And this is something that's important to know because I know that some brands can sell really well across the board, but some brands only specific items will sell well for them. Dooney and Burke, a lot of their normal purses will only sell for like, maybe 35, 50 bucks. This purse with a larger bag and a more popular style, I believe it's called the Florentine. Yeah, the Florentine large satchel is in a natural brown leather. I got this for free in a thrift box. I can link that video up above for you, but I opened up some mystery thrift boxes that they had sent me, this brand, and this was in there, and so I didn't pay anything for it, but it sold for $150 on eBay. So with no money going into it, making over $100 in profit at the end of the day is amazing. But Dooney and Burke is one of those brands that some people sleep on, and I do think that especially some pieces within that brand can do really well. Same thing with other brands like Dooney and Burke, like Coach or like Michael Kors bags. There's so many brands like that where you kind of just have to, instead of writing off an entire brand, look into specific pieces that you find. Especially the larger the bag, probably the better. This one was a good pickup. I didn't find it, I just was given it, and I knew it was a good brand and a good piece when I saw it. Number 7, this is a piece I picked up at a regular thrift store back when I lived in Maryland. If you guys have been around from the 2nd Avenue days, let me know in the comments, but I found this at 2nd Avenue, one of my favorite thrift stores. I think they're underneath Savers, so if you think of 2nd Avenue, think of a Savers. It is the Raquel Algra tracker pant and fitted muscle tee set. So this was just like basically a pair of sweatpants and a tank top, and the set together sold for $150. It's a really expensive brand. I have been sitting on a dress from them for a long time, but this set sold for $150, and so then from $150 we made $120, which is a great sale. I bought that for $7 for both pieces. So really good sale, but this is something to know. I also have that dress that's been sitting. Some brands, even if they retail for a ton of money, won't always resell for that much money. So it's always something you have to be looking into the sell-through rate of items as well. I feel like it is most easily done on eBay, looking at sell-through rate, and just to do a sell-through rate to figure out how quick things are selling. So what you're looking at is how many items are listed and current versus how many have sold in the last certain period, usually last, 90 days. So on eBay, you can go and look at something specific, like type in Raquel Algra, and then you can go and filter by solds. And you'll see a number at the bottom that will tell you how many things have sold in the past 90 days. But if you look at just the available listings, you can see if there's 100 available listings and only one has sold in the past 90 days, then it's probably not worth picking up. So that was a good sale, but I would always have to look through the sell-through rate to know if I should pick up more items from that same brand. So now number 6, another buy-sell trade store pickup. I picked this up at a Uptown Cheapskate. This was a New At Tags Coach Mini Charlie backpack in shadow plaid. I used my in-store credit from the bins from taking things to this place to sell. I used my in-store credit to buy this, so I don't think I paid anything out of pocket for this nice little backpack, but it sold for $169, and so we made $133.18 from a Coach Mini backpack. It was New At Tags. New At Tags plays a huge role in why this sold for so much, but also this was a cute style from them, and like I was saying with the Dooney and Burke purse, Dooney Burke, Coach, certain styles will do better than others. Some Coach bags are just literally going to sit there or sell for 10 bucks. This was New At Tags, but it also, even if it wasn't New At Tags, probably still would have sold for over $100 because it's a newer style and little backpacks are really in right now. So that's a really good sale. Number 5 from 2023, my sales was this New At Tags for Love and Lemons Tahiti ruched mini dress in purple, size medium, puff sleeve. I was able to find a stock photo of this, which really helped it sell, I believe. And also for Love and Lemons, it's a great brand to know. It was New At Tags again, which is helping put it in the top sales. If this wasn't New At Tags, it would still sell for a lot. It just wouldn't sell for as much. And I believe this is the reason why a lot of people that do retail arbitrage have good luck selling things for more money. The newer something is, people will pay more for it. So if it is brand new, people will pay more for the same item than if it had the tags removed, even if no one's worn it, which is a little weird for somebody that doesn't care if my clothes are new or used, as long as they're in good condition. It's a little hard to wrap your mind around sometimes. I totally understand. But for Love and Lemons, great brand to know. I put it on many BOLO lists in the past. This is the only piece I think I've ever found. I found 2 items ever. I have 1 piece in my closet, but this sold for $170. We made $136. And again, I bought this at a buy-sell trade store, probably used in-store credit, so I didn't have any cost out of pocket, which is always great. And then Number 4, another great pickup was this Burberry's. It was an authentic vintage tote bag in black pebbled leather and had brown accents. Gorgeous vintage Burberry bag. And this is another thing, even new Burberry will sell really well, but some of these more luxury brands, if you can find vintage items from them, there's usually a market for these sorts of items. So a vintage Burberry bag, Burberry's, can do really well. And some people would look at something like Burberry's with an S and say, oh, that's probably a fake. But knowing your way around the different names and the different iterations of brands is super important. When I think of this, I also think of Fendi. Fendi is more of a common brand name that people might recognize. It's a designer brand, but you might not know that its original name was Fendissime. So if you find a Fendissime piece, you might be like, huh, that looks like Fendi, but it's probably fake. Whereas if you know some of the background of brands, then you'll know that that is actually also an amazing find. I've found a Fendissime piece before. Burberry's I've found many times, and I think that people leave it behind because they don't know that it actually is the same brand and it's still worth money. So we made $140 from that. This piece I picked up at a garage sale. So I bulk bought 4 bags together. I had this bag, I had a Brighton bag, I had a Marc Jacobs new tags bag. I still have that listed. I think I had one more bag. I bought them all. They're supposed to be $40 a piece, and I think for all of them I spent maybe $100 or so. So for each bag, I paid less than $40. In this one, I made at least $100 of net profit. So not bad at all. Very happy with that. My number 3 purchase was another random, just Goodwill, thrift store purchase. I bought it at 2nd Avenue, so again, like a Savers. And it was a new tags Christopher Kane gingham insert Godet skirt in size 4. An amazing, beautiful designer skirt. Absolutely gorgeous. This is the 3rd piece of Christopher Kane I had found at the same thrift store, all new with tags. Looking back, they must have gotten some sort of donation from the brand because there was like maybe 200 pieces that day that I went to that thrift store of new with tag Christopher Kane pieces. I only bought 2 that day, this skirt and a dress, and both of which they sold for like $200. They were all marked at $40, so I thought that was a lot to pay with no insight or experience selling the brand. But looking back, now that I know, I sat on some of those pieces for a while, but they sold all for like $200. I would have definitely bought more, but you have to start small. You have to not risk everything to be able to sell. I find that if you start with what you have, and if you watch videos, and if you learn brands, and if you start with just a single piece from a brand, it's usually better. Now with the knowledge I have, if I were to find a lot of those Christopher Kane pieces again, I would buy a lot more. But it's good to start by testing the waters and learning what works best for you rather than to jump all the way in. Even though that might have paid off and I would have made money, I've tried the same thing with other brands that haven't worked. I'm really glad that I did only get a few pieces, even though I could have made a lot of money. This sold for $200. On Poshmark, we made $160. So at least $120 of net profit. And then my number 2 sale was a new without tags pair of Bottega Veneta, really cute little braided leather wedge heels in white and brown. They were size 40. They sold for $200 on eBay, and this was a pair of heels I was shocked to find, but I found them at my local buy-sell trade store, and they were only $20. So I think I paid out of pocket $20 for them. I didn't have any in-store credit, or I didn't sell in anything to pay for them. But when I saw them, I'd never found Bottega Veneta before, and these originally at that same store were $100, and then they had stuck a new little sticker over it saying $20, and I was like, well, I will take those off your hands for $20. And it's one of those things where I knew the brand, and because I knew the brand, I knew its worth. I didn't look them up. I don't suggest doing that always, but it's one of those things where if you know more brands, then you'll be more aware when you find them out in person, which is the whole purpose of me doing this video, but also the purpose of me doing a lot of my brand videos. I do a lot of BOLO brands. And so knowing a brand, at least having heard of it, seeing a tag is so important for picking up items that will sell well. So that was an amazing sale. And then my biggest sale from this last year is a little bit of a flop, but I'm happy to share it with you guys. My number 1 sale was this pair of Legence Amy stiletto booties in taupe. They were size 10. They were new with tags and new in box because I bought them on sale from Nordstrom Rack during their big clear the rack sale. I bought these online. I sold them for $250. And this can be misleading to people because I sold these for $250, but I paid a lot of money for those. I looked at my order history. I paid like $100 for these boots because I had seen so many comps of them selling for around $400. So for me, I was like, okay, if I make $300 from a pair of boots, that's amazing. I paid $100. They sold for $250 after sitting for a long time, and then I made $200. So at the end of the day, I made about $100, whereas I could go to the bins and pick up 4 pieces, pay $4, and sell each one for $25 and make $100. So it's really up to you and what you like to do. If you're all for that retail arbitrage, that higher amount in and then maybe hopefully a higher amount out, that's amazing. I think I am more leaning, as I get more and more experience in reselling, towards finding hopefully cheaper items that are high quality and selling them for more money, or even I'm okay with doing those 4 items for $25 a piece if it means that I am not sitting with $100 in a single item and it takes a year to sell. Then I just feel like I'm out $100. I know I'll make money eventually, but I feel like for me it's better to do faster flips even for less money than that. I am hopefully aiming for most of my sales to be around, I'm hoping for an average sales price eventually of $75. Right now I'm closer to $48, $50, which is still great. I'm very happy that I've been really fortunate in finding some, higher end pieces, which has been really nice. So those are my top 10 sales from this year. But I also wanted to talk about some of these other brands that have sold for a lot of money. I'm not going to cover each sale individually. I'm just going to talk about the brands. I'm going to give you a list of these ones that have done well for me. And I feel like this is actually really helpful to get a look into all of my sales and what brands can sell for good money. I think that's super important. So here we go. I'm going to put up the brand here on the screen too, a picture of the tag so you know what they look like. The first thing was a pair of Tecovas, and they make cowboy boots. I think they make other shoes too, but I found a pair of cowboy boots in great condition at a thrift store. I think I bought them for $10. They sold for $100 and something dollars. I think maybe $130, $140. They didn't make my top 10, but they were a great sale. Next up is Suckin' and Babby, which I've talked about before in my BOLO brands list. But this is a brand that makes more like formal dresses and gowns and things like that. I found one dress at 2nd Avenue and I sold it actually twice. I had it returned once, but that's okay. The first time I sold for $190, which would have been in my top 10. The second time I sold it for like $130 or something, but great brand to know. Sold at places like Anthropologie and Revolve. Number 3, Mousy Vintage. It's a jean brand. They might actually make other things too, but the only things I have found from them are jeans, and they do really, really well, around $100. Amanda Uprichard, I sold, I think, a dress. I've also seen Amanda Uprichard jeans. I've seen tops. So a great brand all around. Then Alexis, the brand that inspired my brand list series, is this really interesting tag that I didn't recognize at the time, but it sold. This was a piece that was a little romper, sold for over $100. Next up, Barbour. So Barbour, this was a jacket, and things that are quilted jackets, like a puffer, do really well. That's what this one was, but this is like more of like an outdoorsy. And they also do like snowboarding and like ski kind of stuff. Great brand to know. Thursday Boot Company. I found a pair of leather boots that sold for over $100. Great pair of shoes and a really interesting tag that's easier to recognize. Then we have the North Face and Nike. I sold 2 different coats from them for over $100. Then Jenko came up again, not just the one I showed you guys, but the Jenko shorts that I mentioned sold for over $100. The brand Beholden, great brand to know. Actually, my wedding dress is from that brand. It is Anthropologie's wedding line, but even their bridesmaid dresses, that's what I sold for $100. Lululemon, I sold a coat. Those are great for a good $100. A jacket, a coat from Lululemon usually tends to sell for a lot of money. Some of the other things from Lululemon aren't selling for as much lately, but their jackets, their outerwear, that kind of stuff is great. I sold something from Theory for over $100, which I'm trying to think. I don't even know what I sold. Probably a dress is my guess. Maybe a jacket. Oh, you know what? It was a jacket. I sold a jacket that was like a denim-y kind of look, but I picked that up at a random thrift store. And then we had something from Everlane sell for a lot of money. And Jenny U makes some nice dresses. This was a bridesmaid dress that we sold. I think I picked this up in the bins, so I paid $1 or $2 and it sold for around $100. Mother makes jeans. I think they also make sweaters and tops and stuff like that too, but I've only found jeans from them. I found a pair of jeans that sold for over $100 on eBay. Really good brand to know. Then a pair of Uggs sold for really good money. some Uggs can do really well, some don't do as great, but you know, it's another one of those things that if you find a unique pair of Uggs, if you find one of the like new Ugg, the Tasman slippers, if you find the ones that have platforms, those will tend to do well for you. As by DF, this sat for a bit, but this was a leather skirt I sold for over $100 on eBay, which is a phenomenal sale. As by DF, not one I've seen anyone talk about, not one I have ever, you know, found after the skirt, but another really high-end little brand. Next is something I found in the bins, and that was Sidewalk. Is a really interesting spelling for this brand, CYDWOQ. Really expensive shoes. These boots retailed, I think, for over $400, and they sold for close to $100, and they sold within like a week or so. So really good brand to know, but not one I often see, and I've only seen like one other reseller talk about. Then I had a pair of Prada shoes I found in the bins for $1 or $2, sell for close to $100, and then the very last thing that sold for $140, something crazy, was an Avec les Filles little jacket. It was new at tags, which again, something to be noted. I found it at a random thrift store and it sold for over $100. So Avec les Filles, also it's something I've sold quite a few times now, and I really like that brand. It's sold at places like Anthropologie and also Nordstrom, places like that. Really good brand to know, but those are some of those brands are great BOLOs to know. I love sharing all this information with you. I find it to be invaluable, and a lot of people don't like to share the kind of stuff that could help other people find the stuff that I could be finding, but in my opinion, there's so much to go around. There's so much excess, and so like if I can help you guys make some money and also have some fun sharing my journey with you as I do it, like why wouldn't I do that? I would love to have the help that I wish I would have had when I was starting out this job. So if you guys are just interested in looking at things for yourself, I hope this is helpful to see what brands are really high quality. If you're looking for things to resell, this should definitely be helpful. But if this was super helpful to you, I would love it if you guys would hit the thumbs up button, because it really does help out my video a lot. And also hit the subscription button if you guys would like to stick around. And if you guys enjoyed this video, then I'm sure that you will also enjoy some of my other BOLO brand videos and things like that. So I'll make sure to link those for you either down below or up above or at the end of the video. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. I hope you have an amazing rest of 2023, and I will see you guys in 2024. How exciting. Okay, see you then. Bye.